The Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, has resigned days after he was criticised in a report over his handling of the case of a prolific child abuser associated with the church. John Smythe, who died 6 years ago, subjected around 130 boys and young men to physical, sexual and psychological attacks over decades. The Archbishop, who was made aware of the abuse in 2013, was criticised in the report for not going to the police. Today, Justin Welby said he felt a profound sense of shame that more was not done by the Church of England and that it was clear that he must take personal responsibility. Our religion editor, Aleem Maqbool, reports.
It was a turbulent 5 days that led to the resignation of the Archbishop of Canterbury. Last Thursday, a report landed that was heavily critical of the Church and of Justin Welby in their handling of a man who abused more than 120 boys. Survivors shared their harrowing tales.
I kept the beatings a secret apart to my very close family, friends.
And the Prime Minister spoke about it.
My thoughts are with the victims here, who have obviously been failed very, very badly.
The Archbishop apologised for not doing enough to stop the abuse, but for many that was insufficient.
Sadly, his position's untenable, so I think he should resign.
Today, the Archbishop announced he would. In a statement, the Archbishop says the Macon Review has exposed the long-maintained conspiracy of silence about the heinous abuses of John Smythe. When I was informed in 2013 and told that police had been notified, I believed wrongly that an appropriate resolution would follow. It's clear that I must take personal and institutional responsibility for the long and re-traumatising period between 2013 and 2024. The Archbishop of York, with whom he's worked closely for many years, said it was the right thing to do, but it had been a difficult time.
I admire him for taking this decision, which is about him not taking the blame for all of this, but exercising leadership and responsibility for the failings of the Church.
I'm John Smythe.
Those failings related to keeping people safe from this man. The first cases of abuse by John Smythe at Christian summer camps were in the mid-1970s. By the early 80s, church officials were informed, but there was what the report calls an active cover-up. In 1984, Smythe carried on his abuse in Zimbabwe and later South Africa. We know the Archbishop of Canterbury was definitely told by 2013, but the abuse continued and was exposed by Channel 4 in 2017. Smythe died in 2018 without ever facing justice. It's the case that'll haunt Archbishop Welby, who now steps down.
It's incumbent upon senior leaders in any organisation, not just the Church, to set the tone and model the good behaviour for others in their organisation to follow. And this is, of course, critically true in relation to safeguarding, so it seems appropriate.
There's no timeline as to when Justin Welby will vacate Lambeth Palace, but he says his decision makes clear how seriously the Church understands the need to change in the way it handles abuse allegations. Aleem Maqbool, BBC News.
Justin Welby has been the spiritual leader for around 85 million Anglicans around the world for more than a decade, and during that time has played a prominent role in British public life. Here's our home editor, Mark Easton.
Justin Welby became the 105th Archbishop of Canterbury in 2013. The start of a decade in which he conducted the rhythm of national life. The christening of Prince George.
They are husband and wife.
The wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan. The funeral of Queen Elizabeth II. But as well as presiding over grand ceremony, Archbishop Welby was also installed to navigate stormy social and political waters, debates over women bishops and gay marriages, protecting a waning institution while also caring for its flock.
We'll certainly get things wrong, I certainly will, but the grace of God is greater than our biggest failures.
Justin Welby has acknowledged his privileged upbringing. His mother, Lady Jane Williams, was Winston Churchill's personal secretary. A paternity test in 2016 revealed his biological father was Sir Anthony Browne, a British diplomat seen here between Churchill and President Eisenhower. But the young Justin was brought up believing his father was Gavin Welby. Educated at Eton and Cambridge before going into the oil industry, Justin Welby would later be asked about the morality of big business. His reply, perhaps, was telling.
If you're leading a large organisation, you're accountable for what happens in it. But this business of somehow saying that one individual somehow bears the whole blame as opposed to simply the accountability, it feels lynch mobbish.
Yeah, I know, I've got to give up. I've got to give up one of these days.
Archbishop Welby's style was relaxed, personable, and he liked to tell jokes. But he also raised some Conservative hackles with criticism of the impacts of Brexit and of austerity. In a 2019 BBC interview, he reflected on the difficulties of doing the right thing.
At the heart of Christianity is not we're super good, we're better than anyone else. It's quite the opposite. It's every Christian recognises that they go wrong. It's what the Bible calls sinning.
10 years after taking office, Justin Welby presided over the coronation. It was to be the high point of a career ended by his and the Church's failure to respond adequately to just the kind of institutional scandal he was in part brought in to avoid. Mark Easton, BBC News.
Our religion editor Aleem Makboul is outside Lambeth Palace. So, Aleem, what happens now?
It's a good question. We are in uncharted territory. There hasn't been a process like this. We don't know how long it will take to appoint a successor for Justin Welby. And there is concern around a very polarised Church of England, a very polarised Anglican Communion around the world, because Justin Welby, whatever failings he has admitted to, did do a relatively good job of trying to hold very different factions in that church together. So we don't know when he'll vacate Lambeth Palace, and there is a great deal of uncertainty at the moment.